We are in Proverbs chapter 12, and we ended up on verse 8 last week. And we are just in this small section, really beginning in verse 5, I do believe, of the thoughts of the righteous and the actions and the wisdom of the righteous and the words as well. But we come to verse 8, a man will be commended according to his wisdom, but he who is of a perverse heart will be despised. Okay, so we just go back up to the verse 5. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceitful. Because it's connected to that. It's connected to that. Verse 5, verse 6, and especially verse 8 are all together in this, and that the thoughts of the righteous, well, that's a man will be commended according to his wisdom. All right, well, that's the thoughts of the righteous, that's for sure. And also the counsels of the wicked are deceitful, verse 5, but he who is of a perverse heart will be despised. Well, a perverse heart, what kind of advice, what kind of counsel, what kind of foolishness is that going to give you? Well, it's going to be nothing but perverse. That's all it's going to be. Perversity and ruin. That's all you're going to get. That's all that's going to come out of that person's mouth. We come to truly being given by them. Romans chapter 1 and verse 22, professing to be wise, they became fools. Then in verse 28, we see where God gave them up to a debased mind, and we see that there is perversion that is rampant in that society, a perversion. And He gives them up to a debased mind. That doesn't mean He gave it to them. He gave them up to it. That's what they were after, and He gave up on them. He stepped back. That's what you want to do. It's just like with wisdom. Wisdom calling out, God calling out. They refuse, you get what you get. All right, God would have given you a better life. God would have given you, yes, reason and wisdom, but you have refused it. So we come back to our verse, but he who is of a perverse heart will be despised. That advice will come to ruin. That advice, whatever you get from them, it's not going to help at all. There'll just be perversity from a perverse heart. That's all that you get. I probably have mentioned this, and it may have been in this class. It's been a while. But it was a fortune cookie. It was a fortune cookie. It was one of the more absurd little fortunes, which wasn't a fortune. It was a proverb, and it said, when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice because that's what's in an orange. All right, well, when you go to the perverse for some kind of advice, you're going to get perversity because that's all that's in the perverse. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get anything else. You're not going to get anything that's going to be sound, anything that's actually good, anything that's actually going to build you up or going to help. That's not going to happen. Now we come to verse 9. Better is the one who is slighted with a servant, but has a servant, not slighted by the servant, but has a servant, than he who honors himself but lacks bread. Okay, it comes down to this. It's better to be slighted and just let it go than to honor yourself. It's better to just be slighted than to be the one who's boastful. And in this, never mind the thing of the servant or lacking bread. That is meaning someone who's been slighted, but they have something to be honored by. There is something honorable about them. There is something that they could boast of, but they're not doing it. Better to be someone who is slighted, who has a servant, than someone who is boastful, someone who honors himself but lacks bread. Here it's someone who has nothing to brag about. Nothing at all. And years ago, it was kind of amusing to see the battle of the arrogant. It was a few people. Is battles of the arrogant. and you have one arrogant person, another arrogant person. And I remember one of them telling me about, we'll just say A, talking about B, and saying, B is just, and he used the word arrogant, B is arrogant, and he has nothing to be arrogant about. And I just thought, there doesn't have to be a reason. You can lack bread, as in this. You can lack bread and still be arrogant. You can be the one who is in the pit, who there couldn't be anyone lower than you and anyone in a worse position than you, and still be arrogant. Still be that way. And there is a word that has come around by way of psychology, and that is the narcissist. The narcissist is one who is only self-centered. That's it. Nothing else matters. They are, a narcissist only thinks about themselves, is only concerned about themselves, and nothing else really applies. A narcissist is only one who is, he or she is an egotist, and very, very difficult to deal with such a person. And such a person can overcome such a thing. You can. But it's a matter of, yeah, these people are hurting, but I hurt the worse. Well, how'd you come up with that one? These people, yeah, they may, have a need, but I need it more. Why do you need it more? Because I do. All right. That here is someone who is always at the top. And there is the earth and all the solar system and all of creation revolves around that person. And everyone else exists to serve that person. That's what it comes down to. Or they should be. And if they're not, then there's a problem. But, all right, so we read again, better is the one who is slighted but has a servant than he who honors himself but lacks bread. All right, it's better to be insulted. It's better to be put down than to honor yourself. It's better. And there was something actually said by a preacher of many, many years ago. And I disagree with it. It was a preacher that, and I know why he said it, but he said, the one who does not toot his own horn, the same shall not be tooted. Which I thought, okay, that's a funny thing to say, but he was saying, you got to toot your own horn. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. It's best that you just keep silent in such things. It's best God's going to judge it. God knows what you did. He knows what you didn't do. He knows these things. Let Him be the judge. Let Him be the one to honor you. And He will. He will be the one. And if you have been slighted, you're slighted by another human being, what does that matter? What does that matter? That doesn't mean God has forgotten you or God is putting you down. If He is, there's a reason for it. You need to look at that very, very seriously. But here is this idea of someone who has something to be honored by, and he's been slighted, and it's better to be that way. It's better in that respect. Just accept the wrong. That's all. Now, verse 10. A righteous man regards the life of his animal, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. You have someone who is righteous, has compassion even on animals, has a compassion on them, compassion on whatever animals he may have. But with a wicked man, you have the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. That's the best you're going to get out of them. That's the best there is. And someone of this sort. Now, we need to understand, we are not talking about all people who do not believe the Bible. We'll just put it that way. All people who do not believe the Bible are going to be cruel people. That's never stated. That's never stated. But there are those in that category of not believing the Bible, of rejecting the Word of God, rejecting wisdom. Yeah, they do go to that depth. They do. That there's nothing but cruelty with that person. They don't care about their animals, and they certainly don't care about other people. They don't. And we'll be talking in probably not today, but of a point at which things got worse and worse and worse and worse. It started off with a devaluing of human life, and it went to widespread wildfire. Just, I will shoot you on the street if I want to. For the slightest sort of misdemeanor, for the slightest sort of anything, I have the power to shoot you, to kill you, if I so desire. And but we'll get to that in time. Now, verse 11. He who tills his land will be satisfied with bread, but he who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. Now, this goes back to the sluggard, or as you may have, the sloth, someone who's just basically lazy. Diligence is man's precious possession. The one who tills his land will be satisfied with bread. This one does what is needed, and he does it when it needs to be done. He's there. That's called diligence. Doing what needs to be done when it should be done. That's diligence. Hops to it, gets with it, and there it is. Now, we can see diligence from different people in the Bible, such as Abraham is called to take Isaac, his son, to make a sacrifice, to sacrifice his son. Going to be shown where that sacrifice is to be taking place. Now, that would be a difficult thing to hear if you're Abraham. But it says the next morning, early the next morning, he gets everything ready and they go. Now, that's diligence. That's diligence. He doesn't have to wait a couple of days to try to digest what God said. He's got it. He understands it. He's already come to a conclusion that if God who gave him that son can still give him that son. That is, he can go up there, kill Isaac, and God is able to resurrect him. And he knows, by faith, he knows that there are very large prophecies concerning Isaac, and they can't come to pass if Isaac dies as a boy. He knows that. And he knows whatever happens on this trip, he and Isaac are coming back. He knows it. And the point I want to make is the diligence that was involved, that he immediately goes and does it. Now, we come back to our verse in this, is the one who tills the land will be satisfied with bread, but he who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. Or this is what occurs when there is neglect. And here is someone that doesn't quite understand the linking between their actions and their future. What they're doing now and what they have done with the result that will happen in the future. Now, there are children. There's a certain point of immaturity where a child has to learn that their actions can affect the immediate future or even the far future. And being able to learn that and understand that to be the case, that there are certain things that you do and that can benefit you later on. Certain things that you can do and you can be hit by the problem because you did that. Or things that you were supposed to do and you didn't do. All right, small children learn that. They're supposed to learn that. And as adults, we should already have a very good understanding of that. We should already know that. But here is someone who lacks complete understanding. What did they think was going to happen? Following frivolity, not doing what needed to be done, neglecting what should be done. They're just doing whatever, anything else, and it's going to affect their well-being later. It's going to affect them. And we can go to verse 14. A man will be satisfied with the good by the fruit of his mouth, but the recompense of a man's hand will be rendered to him. Now there's more to that. It is, one can definitely link it up to one who is slothful and negligent. You can definitely do that. But as we have already seen, Proverbs can teach multiple things simultaneously. It's extremely powerful. We'll get to 14 in just a moment. Now, verse 12. The wicked covet the catch of evil men, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. All right. The wicked covet the success of other wicked. That's what it means. The wicked covet the catch of evil men, of what other men have caught, what other men have managed to get away with, what other evil men have done, and they covet that. A man who is we just say a low-level criminal can covet someone who is doing bigger stuff. And now I got to think bigger. And that person, someone bigger still, and that person bigger still. Coveting what the powerful have, what the more wicked or the more skilled in their wickedness have. They covet that. Now, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. Well, we can look at verse 3 in this and look at that root definitely. Going to verse 3, a man is not established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous cannot be moved. Okay, so the root of the righteous cannot be moved, and we also see that here this root of the righteous yields fruit in verse 12. It yields fruit, and that would be beneficial fruit, good fruit, what God would want us to do, what leads to truly life and the best life we could possibly have, as opposed to someone who's just trying to increase in their wickedness and wanting what other wicked have, someone who is better at deception and they get a bigger catch, of coveting that and wanting that. Someone who is more clever in the way that they do something, and they were able to, like with your typical heist movie, you have someone who wants what they just took. Okay? And here we have the absolute opposite of this, in that of with the root of righteousness. Well, that's enough. That's enough of being satisfied with just that fruit because it is good. Being satisfied with righteousness because that is good. Now we go to verse 13. The wicked is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous will come through trouble. So this has to do with words. This has to do with counsel. This has to do with influence, is what it is. But also, the wicked is ensnared by the transgression of his lips. Here is trapped by their own lies, trapped by their own deception. Using deception, the use of deception has brought them here. That's what has happened. You all know of someone who has lied about something, and then they're confronted about it, and typically they're going to have to lie more and lie more and lie more. And you also have the one that has completely forgotten the lie. They've completely forgotten it. They forgot they told the lie. They forgot they told anything. And now they're trapped. They're trapped of obviously something isn't working here, and it comes to you. All right. Years ago, it was with Catrice and myself, we were hearing a story over here. Well, that sounds good. And we were also hearing a story over here. Well, that sounds good, but they don't connect. Something is wrong. Either someone is lying and we took the benefit of a doubt, or there's just a massive lack of communication. But someone doesn't have it right. Somebody doesn't. And we didn't know who, couldn't know who. And so the only thing to do is just step back and just not worry with it if you can. Just step back and actually, without even working at it, eventually discovered that there was a common denominator involved. That later, different people were involved. They're saying something, and then these other people are saying something else, and we realize, okay, there's a common denominator in this. These people are just lying. They can't be getting all the communications wrong from different folks. They can't be. These are the ones who are the problem. And that then, they have been trapped by the transgression of their lips. They've been trapped by it. And you then know, okay, they're lying now, and they were lying in the past. Now we've got that figured out. But the righteous will come through trouble. That is, the righteous, by definition, the righteous are going to be telling the truth. By the righteous, they're going to be telling the truth. They're going to come through trouble. And whether it is by a judge who is human, who can make mistakes, or whether it is God, one way or another, they're going to come through that trouble. They're going to come through it. Now, we can see where the Sanhedrin court, they didn't judge righteously at all, but God will. Those men who crucified Christ, all right, that was unjust. Is Christ righteous? Yes, far more than anyone. And those human judges put him on the cross, and they broke every sort of legal boundary to do it. But who's going to be the judge? Are they the final judge, or is the Father the final judge? Well, obviously the Father is the final judge. That there won't be, Christ isn't going to be condemned because the Sanhedrin court condemned them. And I'm bringing this out to put this into perspective. But the righteous will come through trouble. That doesn't mean wicked people won't do wicked things about them. But God will never do anything wicked against them. He will never. And He will judge, they spoke the truth. In so doing, they glorified righteousness. In so doing, they glorified Him with the truth. Now, they're not going to be ensnared by their lies because they haven't told any lies. And everything about reality will reflect they spoke the truth. Everything about it. And A number of weeks ago, we were studying, and it may have been last year, I can't remember now. We were studying Paul's speech to that crowd. There's a large group of people in Jerusalem. And he begins to tell them things, and everything he says, not only is it the truth, but they could go and find it out for themselves. And some of them would have been standing there that would have known, yeah, that's right, and yeah, that's right, and yeah, he's right about that too. All right, he can't be ensnared by his words because all of his words were true. And yet they still wanted to kill him. They still wanted him dead. Now, we come to verse 14. Now, we've already linked verse 14 earlier with verse 11. But this has to do with truth and with speaking what is right. A man will be satisfied with the good. A man will be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth. Or he's going to be satisfied with that. If a good man, it will be righteousness. So this would be truth. It'd be wisdom. It'd be sound advice. It'd be counsel, good counsel. But we come to the next part of this. And the recompense of a man's hand will be rendered to him. So all actions have a result. All words have a result. Here is that of both linking to, or I should say, verse 14, linking both to speaking what is right, because this happens to be the fruit of his mouth. Speaking what is right, and also diligence. It links both in this. It is all linked together. And the recompense of a man's hand will be rendered to him. Yep, it will be. The things that he has done, the things that he has said. Now, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. All right, now I want to go to the last phrase first. But he who heeds counsel is wise. Well, if we go to chapter 12, verse 1, actually, chapter 12 and chapter 13 both start with similar verses. The one who won't heed instruction, the word there in 12 verse 1 is stupid. Won't heed instruction. The one who does not want instruction. The one who refuses instruction. Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid. So here is that. Chapter 13, verse 1, a wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. It goes hand in hand. And so here you have in this, he who heeds counsel is wise. This one will grow. This one can be corrected and be made better. But someone who refuses all this, someone who thinks they're always right, is someone who has just flatlined. They are not going to grow at all. They are not. And you've met such people. Hopefully they can change. I've met such people. I don't want to be that type of person, of where this person is right and everyone else can be wrong. All right. No matter what is said, their opinion is not an opinion. Their opinion is the way it is. And their thoughts on anything is the way it is. And you cannot convince them otherwise. You cannot convince them. They may have a clever way of explaining it, but it hardly matters. Or they may not want to explain it at all. It hardly matters. Someone who is right in their own eyes can't be taught in that condition. It's impossible. They can't be taught. You can rebuke them. It means nothing while they're in that condition. You can show them the truth. It doesn't matter while they're in that condition. It doesn't matter in the least. That you can point to proof after proof after proof after proof, and they just, it doesn't, in their mind, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I'm right. I am right. And you're right. Why are you right? It doesn't matter what the explanation is. It doesn't matter. They are convinced. And a fool is right in his own eyes. He's justified it. He's cleared it with his own conscience. He's decided he must be the one that is right. And we go back to the narcissist that we were talking about earlier. A narcissist is someone who does believe they are right. And also one of those things of it's either my way or the highway, that sort of person. But it's I am right and you are wrong. Unless you agree with me, then you're right, like I am. That in a fool just is not going to be able to be convinced otherwise. Now, verse 16. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a prudent man covers shame. Now this connects to several verses, and we're not going to read them, but I want you to be aware of them. Proverb 19:11, 19:19, 10:12, 29:11, going also to that of James 1:19 and 1 Peter 4:8, Proverbs 12:23. All of these are teaching similar things, every one of them. And we have a fool's wrath is known immediately. What is the admonition we are given? Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Don't have a quick fuse. Be slow in this. Allow the information in. Allow everything to be done. And once again, you have known the type of individual of where you begin a sentence. You haven't even finished the sentence, and already you're being blasted for what they think you just said. But I didn't finish the sentence. That's where I was headed. That's where I was going. And let me finish the sentence. Boom. All right. You didn't so much as let me finish. And already you are exploding here. But a fool's wrath is known at once. They don't hold it back. They have very little self-restraint and just will explode in an instant. A very volatile individual is doing this. And but a prudent man covers shame. Here is this show of restraint, patience, and also compassion is involved in this. And here is this prudent man. He doesn't have to be a talebearer, all right? And he doesn't have to be one that's just going to explode at the first inkling or the first notion of something, but allow something to be known, allow something to be played out, and then have an understanding of it, and then have a better idea of how this is to be judged, better idea of how it's to be done, as opposed to immediately, taking daggers out and attacking somebody. And I don't mean that in a literal way. I mean that metaphorically. Now, verse 7. This is connected. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness deceit. So we made mention of this just a few moments ago. He who speaks truth declares righteousness. Declares that righteousness is necessary. By stating the truth is righteous. It is. And it is a declaration of righteousness. It is a declaration that truth wins out, righteousness wins out, lies and deception fail, and wickedness fails. Wickedness is not necessary. There's no such thing as a necessary evil. There's no such thing as that at all. There's righteousness. And if you're on the side of righteousness, you tell the truth. That's what you do. And you are declaring righteousness. And it is, in fact, giving glory to God. You declare its value. You declare it as being right. And lies will bring nothing and will never last, because they're only a product for a short time. That's all they are. They just are a product of evil, and they're only for a specific purpose. And that's it. And they can't last very long at all. But a false witness, deceit. A false witness is declaring deceit. That's what they do. And we can go back, or rather go forward to verse 19. The truthful lips shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. It has a purpose, and when the purpose is over, it's gone. All right, when the purpose is over, it's gone. That's why you can have a liar who can't even remember what their lie was. Okay, they've lost track of it. And of course, if it's someone who lies an awful lot, they're having to juggle it, and they don't know what the answer is supposed to be because they don't know what they said. There's too many things to juggle here. And now, verse 18, there is one who speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. Now, we have been talking, this is about speaking. We have been having these verses concerning truth, speaking truth, and deception, but also that of wrath. Fool's wrath is known immediately. So there is one who speaks like piercings of a sword. Harsh, angry, there's wrath in this, divisive, harmful, destructive, and deadly. Here is someone who spreads resentment and causes division, kills friendship. That's this type of piercing of a sword. And understand, it's being contrasted with the tongue of the wise. Now, you can be rebuked by a wise person and it come off as harsh. And you can think of it like that of the piercings of a sword. But note what it says. That promotes health. That's what that does. It doesn't promote division. It doesn't bring about deception. It doesn't spread lies or spread hatred. It doesn't do any of those things. It is intended to settle an individual, correct an individual, and it will, if it's truly words from a wise. And you get, when the advice and the correction is right, that's precisely what it will do. Now we go to verse 19 again. The truthful lips shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but a moment. Yeah. Truth always stands. Always stands. And I just use this illustration because it's easy to use. All right? It is a truth that on this particular day, at this time, I was in this building. That's a truth. And you can't stop that truth. You can toss me out of the building, but that doesn't change that truth. That I was here this day, this particular time, in this building. And that can't be destroyed. You can't destroy that truth. Someone can want to cover it up. Someone may want to lie about it. Someone may bring in some other sort of evidence to say that I wasn't here. But for any statement that is properly defined, and this is a matter of logic, for any proposition, any statement that is properly defined, it can either be said to be true or false. Everything. There is no middle ground. Either it is true or it is false. And now it could be an unknown, but it's still true or false. If I had a box up here, and I didn't show you what was in the box, and I told you that inside the box was think of something random, cat. I've got a cat in the box. All right, you can't see what's in the box, but that statement is either true or false. And it may be that I never let you look at the box, but the statement is still true or false. Now, we can open the box and find out. And we'll know at that point whether if what I said was true or what I said was false. Now, truth is established forever. And here the truthful lip shall be established forever. That's the one who's saying the truth. That's the one who's giving the truth, because they are, in fact, glorifying righteousness. They're giving all credence to righteousness, giving credence to truth. That goes back to verse 17, declaring righteousness. That is established forever. But a lying tongue is for a moment. It doesn't last. It does not reflect reality at all. Lies do not reflect anything that is real, and they benefit nobody. Really, they don't. They don't even benefit the teller at all. Verse 20. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. All right? Deceit is only from the evil, and it serves evil every single time. And that's what we mean by there's no such thing as necessary evil. Deceit is evil, and deceit always plays into evil. Now, it would be very bad for a member of a particular army fighting an enemy. This army A is fighting Army B from two different nations. Army A is fighting Army B. It would be very bad for there to be soldiers on Army A's side that suddenly they are helping the enemy. That'd be bad. That'd be quite bad. Just decide with their own actions, they are in fact helping the enemy by way of sabotage, by way of murder, by way of other things happening. And, side B, Army B, is benefited by that. Well, let's put it down into righteousness and evil, or God and Satan. It is no good to say that you are on God's side and then begin to lie about certain things. That's no good, because what you're saying is, Satan is right in this. That's what you're saying. It's not a declaration of righteousness. It's a declaration that wickedness is necessary. That's what it's a declaration of. And that, on this particular point, Satan is correct. God is wrong in this. He wants me to tell the truth, but sometimes I need to tell a lie just because. All right, you're fighting on Satan's side. You're fighting on the point of wickedness, and you are declaring wickedness and glorifying wickedness. That's what you're doing. So, let's read our verse again. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Deceit never brings peace. The truth brings peace. As painful as the truth may be, it will bring peace. And there will be absolute satisfaction by being satisfied by the fruit of your lips. being satisfied that the truth was told, that the truth was upheld and confessed. We have come to the end of our time. I appreciate everybody being with us, and we will continue next week. Thank you.